Hi, Joanne. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you, Jedi.
Yeah, so thank you for allowing us to record this session. For us to just experience what coaching really is, and for you to experience a transformative session today.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So today in our exploration, what we're going to do is just going to, come here fully present and with whatever that's on your mind or on your heart that you like to explore. I'm more than happy. And in the process of this conversation as well, I'd like to encourage you to, whenever you find some insights or learnings that you feel that hey, that really resonate with you, I want to take some time to just pause, note them down into a little journal or your virtual notes as well, before we proceed.
Okay.
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 Good.
Can.
Okay, no problem. So is there anything that's on your mind that you want to clear before we begin today's conversation?
No, I'm quite ready.
hmm Okay, good. So tell me, what would you like to explore today?
Uh, I wanted to explore whether I should adopt a pet, a dog.
Okay, adopt a pet.
Yeah. So
Okay,
basically a puppy, a doggy.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So that is my topic today.
Mm. And so tell me more about your thoughts around adopting this pet doggy.
I have a Singapore special. We call that
Mm,
mongrel for 15 years, and he has just passed on in April
mm,
because of old age. And I just wanted to adopt another doggy. The reason why I want to adopt is because the reason why I want to adopt and not buy is because there are really many abandoned dogs, and if I can make a difference in giving them a home, I think it's very meaningful.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. Yeah, you mentioned the word, if you can make a difference in giving them a home, it can be very meaningful. And how does that, impact you as an individual?
Uh, I see it as a way of being a better person, to add value to a being.
Mm,
Of course, if you buy a pet, you're also adding value to a being by taking care. But it is different because I'm supporting people for 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 earning the kind of money that I find just doesn't make sense. It's like they use animal as a business tool to charge very high for those who for even for those who are not into animals. They just want to buy as a birthday present.
mm.
Yeah, whatever reason, but I just think that I don't think I like to support that buying trait, the buying behavior, people who sell pet.
Mm. So I hear you that there's two different parts of considering like a pet. One, it's the buying behavior. That's something that you don't really accept, and you're thinking more of adopting because that kind of resonate with you being able to make a difference in giving them a home.
Mm,
Okay.
yes, yes.
And how would that affect how you feel if you're able to help another pet doggy to give them a home?
I just find that it's very meaningful because I adopted my doggy at 2 months old from SPCA.
Mm,
And fast forward, I have looked after him for 15 years. And I find that at least he has a chance to live for 15 years, or rather a full life, which is
mm,
quite long life for a dog. I think that is very beautiful experience because dog can't teach you to be great people, but they can teach you to be a good person.
okay.
Yeah.
They can't teach you to be a great people, but they can teach you to be a good person.
Yes, certainly. And I'm very sure.
Yeah. Yeah. As you were saying that sentence, I noticed like a little broader smile on your face when you just said that God can't teach you to be a great person, a great people, but can teach you to be a great person.
Yeah, because there's so much that they can teach you. They teach you to be patient. They teach you to be empathizing, to be compassionate. They teach you. There are so many things that I actually um learn from the life of a dog, which a lot of people find that it's quite comical and amusing, like, learning from the life of a dog.
Well, to me as well, I think it's really beautiful that how you mentioned that even the dog as well has such an amazing lesson for us to learn from us to connect with. Yeah, and I also can see how your personal experience with your own dog as well has had such a tremendous impact on you personally.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
very.
Yeah, I can sense how that it's really connecting for you within yourself.
Yeah.
Mm. And so as I was thinking about what you mentioned about wanting to discuss and talk about this topic about adopting a pet doggy, um, for us to kind of narrow down to really help you to get something meaningful out of this conversation, is there a particular focus area that you'd like to dive in deeper?
I just wanted to have a better clarity whether should
Mm,
I go ahead with the adoption or not,
mm,
because because my daughter feel that I should take a break, which I agree, but I just thought that there are so many ways whereby you can take a break. In fact,
mm,
you know something, since my dog passed on, I realized I have not been exercising.
mm,
Yeah. So there are a lot of things that I find is it's very beautiful when you actually look after a dog, which of course
mm,
a lot of people find that it's hassle. So I wanted the clarity is because I also have that wish, I want to go for a solo trip. I mean, of course, if you have a dog, then you want to go for a solo trip. It's quite challenging, right? But
yeah,
on then you have an option of getting a boarding house whereby they can look after for 2 weeks. You still can move on with whatever solo trip that you want. So I just find that it shouldn't be a consideration.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
But maybe there is more reason to it. I'm not sure.
mm. Yeah. And how are you feeling, uh, when your dog left you and passed on, and it affected how you were not exercising anymore, and that wish of wanting to go for a solo trip, maybe a thought came in, but then you felt that, hey, you know what, I think I don't need a break at this moment, but I think I can consider going ahead of getting a new adoption. How is that making you feel?
I think the exercise part is really not an issue because I do go for brisk walk. I mean, I'm staying quite near, just one station away from Botanic Garden. I mean, I can go for walks by myself,
Mm,
sometimes with my daughter, but I find that probably having a pet is just giving more motivation.
mm,
That is besides the point, but it's back to the question you were asking me, did I feel when my pet passed on? I think I was very, very sad because I just never know that a dog can have such a great impact on me.
mm,
Um, and I also have a lot of guilt because I'm the one who put him down.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. Yeah. And as I was hearing you share about how this dog was significant, I also could notice a little energy shift within you as well, like how there are a lot of things that is inside, that's going on inside, relating to why this dog is of so much importance to you as well.
Mm.
Mm. And so how, if you could share me a little bit more about how this getting this clarity is so important for you today.
Because it's a commitment for another 10 to 15 years.
Mm,
Irregardless of the dog's age lah. I mean, unless I have got big health issue, I can't look after, then that's besides the point. But having a pet is a commitment of how many years that they will live, like in terms of their mortality. But not
mm.
parrot lah. Parrot 80 years. I cannot take parrot. There are so many parrot for adoption.
Yes,
No one dares to take parrot because their lifespan is 80 years.
they're
I will
very long.
die before they die. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But for a dog, you have to consider that the
Yes,
lifespan as well
yes,
and
because the
commitment.
commitment is 10. It's unlike a cat. Because cat just don't need you basically. You provide food, cat don't need you. They just can't be bothered with you, in fact. I mean, maybe different species of cat, but I don't have strong affinity with cats.
Okay, so it sounds like, it feels like a little bit, but there's something about the dog that brings about a certain connection for you, or certain deep connection that is unlike any other things, like other pets that you have experienced as well.
Yeah, because I have looked after a dog for 15 years. That's why I know the connection.
Mhm. Okay, and by the end of this conversation, where would you like to be in terms of that clarity?
To adopt or not to adopt.
To adopt or not to adopt? Okay, and where are you right now in terms of that decision?
6.
6. Okay, and so by the end of this conversation, like to is there a particular number you like to be at?
I think a 9.
A 9? Okay. And what would a 9 look like for you?
Very sure.
Very sure. Okay.
Actually,
And,
the contradicting part is currently I am
yes.
looking at one adoption drive, and there is a puppy which is about 7 months old. That right now they are waiting to be adopted, and it's just clearing all the medical and the procedure. I agree to foster for 1 week, and I'm not very sure whether I will proceed and adopt finally or not. So that's why it's a topic for discussion.
And so you have already begin fostering for this?
Not yet.
Not
Probably
yet.
by end of next week.
Okay. And so that's why you're at about 9 or 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what would be that, that you believe is something that we need to work on so that it can get you from the 6 to a 9 by the end of this conversation?
I just want to know why am I holding it back? Why am I holding back? And then why is there also a dilemma that I want to carry, or I want to move ahead with the decision to adopt?
Okay. So there's two things. One is a sense of what's holding you back, and the dilemma, whether to adopt or not adopt.
Yeah.
Good. And so you mentioned earlier as well that currently there's this adoption and a little puppy of 7 months that is waiting to be adopted, and you've already agreed for fostering.
Yes.
Yeah. And you also mentioned earlier that you're looking at a mongrel SG doggy. And so would this be the same breed as what you're looking for?
Yeah, anyway, for adoption is only available in Singapore special, very
Okay.
special. All the pedigree people sell to make money.
Okay. Okay. And so when you think about this, having to foster this little puppy for 1 week, what are your current thoughts around that?
I think my current thought is very much on spending time to bond with this puppy because he has got abandoned history. So he's fearful to even go for a walk.
Okay.
So so all this needs to be slowly warm up and slowly bring the puppy to trust human again. So requires a little bit of work, but I don't think I don't think it's a big issue lah. I feel so lah.
And when you're thinking about this fostering of this puppy, right? At the end of the 1 week, is there a decision that you need to make, or?
Yes, to go
Okay.
ahead or not to go ahead. So if to go ahead, he will stay with me for his whole life.
Okay.
Not my whole life, his whole life.
His whole life.
Yeah. Then
Okay.
if no, then I'll return to the adoption drive.
Okay. Okay. And so that's where you kind of stuck between the 6 or 9.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so tell me more, what is that dilemma that you're having?
My dilemma, I'm thinking of a few things. It's like it's like, will I be because at home to look after the animal is only between my daughter and me. And the man in the house, they are so workaholic. The dog is just a being going around, and then they say hi, bye, little cutie. They are more of a play friend. And my son is allergic to dogs. My son is not allergic, but my son has allergy, so he can't go too close to dog. Now he's much better, so definitely not him. So it's only me and my daughter. So I was just wondering, do I have that so-called resources to sustain that 10 years of his life or more? That's one area. Second thing is, would since I want to go on solo trip, carefree, so would this compromise that? Because it's a responsibility. That is also another reason.
Mm, okay. Are there any other reason that is kind of becoming a dilemma?
Of course, there is less work. Less
Okay.
work. I mean, why do I want to give myself more work? I don't have a maid stay in the house. I am the
Okay.
maid also and the housekeeper. So it's like, but my brother always tell me, why are you so dumb to actually give yourself more work? Why do you want to adopt a pet again, to go through the grief again and make yourself sad? Can't you just be as carefree as me? But then I find that his life very zero. No, no fluff and nothing interesting.
Mm. And if you have a dog today, suppose you are fostering, and from fostering you're adopting this little puppy, what would change for you, or what would it give you?
I think it will give me a lot of smile and joy. My son
Okay.
was just telling me that I know why you want to adopt a puppy again. You just like, because you're working at home most of the time, you just want that fella to sit next to you, and then you know that there's a being there. I said maybe because the old dog has got the presence of wherever I go in the house, he's always following me. So I think the presence is so attached. But I'm not sure whether is that the reason. Maybe that is the reason. I'm not sure. But in a
Mm.
way, maybe he is right.
And when you think back about your previous, your previous dog, what was it that captivated you, that made you feel that, wow, I would love to, have another one?
I think he has got the unconditional devotion.
Mm.
Yeah, especially towards his. I actually had said I could sense in December that he will not make it this year because I've seen his body change. And I find that the last 2, 3 months before he passed on, um, he has got a very strong attachment to me as I am the go-to person whenever he wants to turn in for the night. He decided to sleep for the night. He will find me. Yeah. So the rest of the family members is more like, companionship or play. That's it. But I think, yeah, I think because of his attachment, so it does give me he has got a very strong devotion. So it gives me a lot of joy because he's so sensible and so sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, because I love what you mentioned earlier about the word unconditional devotion.
Mm.
Yeah. And in your idea or your thought of having a new puppy coming to your house and to your heart, is that something you're also looking forward to?
I do. I do because I think it does add new energy. Uh, it does add new energy to your life because it all depends on how you see it, right? I
Mm.
mean, if you're very negative, you would think that it just give you more work, you'll be more stressful. Why do you want to spend time looking after a dog? I mean, you got to clear up the mess. And the list goes on of not wanting a dog.
Yeah.
So that is the thing. That is one side of thinking. Then the other side of thinking is like, you know, um, if you over the time you can build that bondage with a doggy, and it's actually very beautiful because when you are into the so-called relationship with this doggy, every kind of reaction of him, he actually teaches you something. It's just like towards his ending age, when he decided not to walk, he just tell you that I don't want to walk anymore. He just refused to move. So that kind of silent communication also awakens me that, sometimes we human, when we speak, right, it goes beyond words. A stare, a nod, whether a move or not to move, it tells you something so much. It teaches you, a lot of values of how to be a human being better. Yeah, and in fact, that was what I taught my kids also. We have pets for so long. It doesn't teach us to be a great person, but it teaches us to be a good person. You be more patient, you be more compassionate. If you eat something, you also feel that the dog could be hungry. If you feel like snacking, you also feel that, hey, the dog may also like to snack, because there's another being. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love what you shared about how all this, sometimes the downside of having a dog, which is you have to clean up, you have to do all the other extra things. But what goes beyond that is that the relationship that the dog brings to you and gives you, which is to teach you something, and even that silent communication that you mentioned as well, how it helps you to become a good person in uh, watching another person, watching another being, another living being.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking as you were just sharing that, and you mentioning that one of the if you do not commit to this doggy, you have the resources is there, less work. So it seems like, as I was hearing you share, that actually the relationship the dog gives you or brings for you outweighs the inconvenience that would potentially have for you.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. You know what have I been doing? Whenever I manage to squeeze in some time in the morning, since my dog passed on, that is to play with other dogs. I went for a walk because I realized that I have not been exercising.
Okay.
And going for brisk walk is something that I do it quite regularly. So I go for a brisk walk, and whenever I pass by the park, I see all these dogs. Even the maids also recognize me. Hello, auntie. I even know which dog go for surgery. I even know the dog's name.
Mm,
Yeah, so I actually spend time with other people's dog.
yeah.
I just find it so funny.
Yeah. And so as I hear you share, I could really sense that a very strong like connection to a dog. And so I'm just curious about what is, beyond what you mentioned earlier about the resources to sustain less work. What is it that you feel it's really the key thing that if that thing was resolved, that you will be absolutely clear that, okay, it doesn't matter whether I've put in more work to clear the dog or not, but because I really have this relationship is something that I treasure beyond that. What do you feel that's that thing that is really missing for you?
Mm, I I can't pinpoint, but I think it's like you look forward to spend time with the dog for work, or maybe because my work is always facing the screen,
Mm,
and I am relating to human, but it is very taxing in the brain.
mm,
And then it's like, oh, okay, 6 o'clock, and then I look at him, he look at me, he said, let's go and play. Okay, don't do anything, let's go for a 1 hour walk.
yeah.
So it's very relaxing for me because I get to see the green. I get to talk nonsense with other people who are walking the dog. I mean, they are all not important questions or topic. It's just basically chat talk. Uh, and then after that, I just find that I think this is where how I unwind myself, and the time spent with the dog, I would think is very valuable. So it's helping myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's helping myself. I always believe in waking up early.
Hmm.
And every time I mean, that sounds a bit crazy. Like every time when I don't wake up before 6:30, I just find that I've wasted my time. So I do have friends who tells me that, oh, they wake up at 8+, 9+, and they ask me what time I wake up. I tell them that I try to wake up before 6:30, and they think that I'm crazy. Why do you need to wake up so early? Because the very early time is where I find that it's the most peaceful, and if I have a dog, of course I will go and walk, and I can walk, and I can do walking meditation. I can do a lot of things. So I think the dog just helped me to reset my life routine.
Mm,
So probably there's another reason.
mm.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
another reason.
Okay. Resetting your life routine.
Mm.
Okay. Okay, good. So let's kind of like take a snapshot at where we are currently. And so I've heard several things that you just mentioned, like how your key considerations are whether does it that do you have the resources to sustain for the next 10, 20 years with the dog, or does it bring you less work? Does it also prohibits you from doing your solo trip that you desire? And on the other side, we could hear a lot of things like how the dog would potentially bring you that unconditional devotion, the relationship, and how it teaches you sometimes. And of course, what you mentioned earlier as well, that because you're facing the screen all the time, but you have someone, a presence there with you, being able to help you to reset your life routine. So as you look at, all this that you just mentioned, all those different, we could say pros and cons, benefits and costs. Um, what do you think it's the thing that is most important in all this?
I think regulating my life routine. I
Mm,
think life routine is very important for me.
okay.
Yeah, is if not you just get messed up.
Okay.
Because I find that my life routine changed ever since my dog passed on.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it changed because I just, instead of going out for a walk, I spend my time catching up on housework, which, I mean, of course, I still do housework. It's just that I find that there is no urgency. Seriously, there's no urgency. I can go at 7, I can go at 6. There's nobody I'm waiting for. But with a dog, it's different. He just give you the step, please go, and then
So
you
there's
just
a
have to go.
certain routine that you have to follow by because the dog is there.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I find that with that routine, mentally I'm more healthy.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
mentally I'm more healthy.
Mm.
I can cope better with the 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 work that I am doing. Even though the work I don't find that is stress, but sometimes, at home you have got nonsense stuff going on. Suddenly your son bring back a few friends, and then the daughter invite another 2 friends, and then you feel like it has this commotion going on and this mess going on. It's like giving yourself a breather. The doggy is like, it helps to regulate your state.
Yeah, I believe the doggy can help you regulate, with that routine that he has with you every single day. Yeah, and like what you mentioned, I think the routine brings about that sense of companionship, that relationship that you build into your own personal life as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So as we, as we have explored about halfway through this conversation, if we were to take back at where we started off today, how you had a 6 in terms of that clarity and where you want to move towards getting a 9, where would you say you are now?
I think I'm quite clear that I want to adopt a dog. It's
Mm,
just that, yeah, it's just that I just have to tell myself to go with the flow. Because
mm,
if you overthink, and I remember when I adopted my old dog, right? I adopted is because my daughter was very stressful at the age of 12. I
mm,
wanted a puppy or a doggy to actually help her to cope with stress better, because her stress level was so bad that she started to have hallucination.
okay.
Uh, so, and then I just allowed the flow to just take place, and then 15 years passed.
Mm,
So I didn't overthink when I just remember I went with her to SPCA. We went to see, and then this black and white dog captured my attention. and I consider, go back, I think one more time. The next day I went there, finished the paperwork, I bring the doggy home.
And then it's got
And
15
then
years
15
past.
years. Yes. And then it's 15 years past. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's 15 years past. Yeah. In fact, I actually I feel sad for the doggy that I didn't spend good quality time with him in his first 8 years of his life, because I was traveling a lot for my work. And the last 3 years after I resigned and plus COVID, we become very close and very attached. So that makes a lot of difference. And that's the learning for me, that I see the beauty of having a dog, people looking after a dog.
Oh, I love what you mentioned there. How if you could go back in time, you would have spent that 8 years, the initial 8 years, even much more and treasure much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do feel, yeah. So sometimes you ask yourself, hey, why I should have spent more time with him? I should have, I should have do this. So the should have just go on. Yeah.
And if you could turn the should have to want to have, like if you can take all that learnings, that insights that you had over the last 15 years with the previous dog and into this consideration today, what are some things you would want to do rather than a should to do in this new relationship that you want to build?
I feel that uh I feel that when you are giving your energy to look after a being, right, even though it is not a human, you will be less selfish, and you will not keep dwelling into what is not right for you. So if you have got issues that you find that you want to deal with, but you don't have solution, you keep thinking of that, then it become a waste of time. You spend your energy to help people. And in fact, it's also a way whereby, one way I teach in mental health session, one way to help people to cope with depression is actually to spend your energy to help others. Go and do some charitable work. You after doing it for 1 month, you find your depression scale drop. And it is very real, because you don't focus on yourself anymore. Yeah. So it's like sometimes you focus on certain things that what is not right for me. But if you have a pet, you give your energy to a pet, you spend time to care and love another being, then you find that actually life is not that miserable. There are a lot of living being worse. Yeah, when you see the adoption drive where the abandoned dog, they are just every day waiting for one kind soul to deliver them a meal, and the rest of the time they are finding place to hide, because they don't know whether it's an animal will attack them or it's a human will attack them. Yeah, so there are a lot of beings so much more unfortunate.
Yeah.
Of course, there are human beings as well, lah.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. And if we could like go forward in time, say uh in 10 years time or 15 years time, the same 15-year cycle, and 15 years later, the 15 years Joanne, if she can peer into today and she could offer Joanne just one thought, what would that future Joanne tell today's Joanne about the doggy?
I think it will tell me that you did the right thing. You save another life. You give another life a home. Yeah. So until one day when God calls me to leave this earth, maybe I will go to another realm. I will see my two pets. I don't know when you will leave, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would think that it's a very beautiful experience.
And how would that make you feel?
I think I will feel that my life will be a bit more colorful. I always joke with my brother. I say your life is so boring. Wake up, because my brother is retired.
Oh,
They wake up, wait for wife to go to work, fetch her, then come back. You lunch, take nap, then play golf alternate day. Your life is so boring. yeah, it's like it's like a robot.
Mm.
But anyway, that's what makes him happy lah. Because he likes animal, but he like animal that don't pee and poop. I say, then you go and get a doll, stuffed toy. It will never work.
Yeah, 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 and like what you mentioned as well, that how you don't want to have a life that is just boring and just one dimension, but you like to have colorful life, and even though the inconvenience that taking care of another living being might bring, but the added gift I think that they give you is so much. If I can offer a thought for you to consider as well, would that be possible?
A thought.
Yeah, maybe if you're okay with it, I can share with you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, and because as I was hearing you share how how you're weighing between, okay, whether this is the pros or that's the cons. What if that cons it's also a pros? Meaning to say, what if that sense of having to put resources aside, having to uh, wake up early to do extra work because you're a living being, it's not a con, but actually it's a pro. It's a benefit that comes with it. What if all that inconveniences are actually life's greatest convenience to set you back onto the routine that you wanted, and instead of seeing those as inconveniences, but those as, what, those are what will keep my routine back in shape.
I think that is beautiful because it's like if you wanted, it's just like how people work for success, right? If they don't go
Mm,
through failure, they go through all the milestones of hiccups, they will never understand. They will never understand the journey of how to be successful. It
mm,
is not a formula that you do 1 to 10, you will be successful, because in between that 1 to 10, you go through a lot of bumps. So
mm,
it is the same even for animals. So if you want the animals to be able to be obedient, to respond well, it speaks about how you communicate and how you look after the animal. There is a saying called, if you want to know how the animal behave, you just look at the owner. They always
mm.
behave the same. And it is very true, as I walk around the park, I look at the caretaker and the animal. The behavior is very similar. And I find that it's quite amusing, and it's something that I learn. It's a learning for me, which is very psychological, because this is the connection,
Yeah,
the you see the owner, a lot of accessories, the dog also a lot of accessories, no.
unnecessary.
Yeah, it's that kind of correlation, very funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I just, yeah, that's why I say it's a very beautiful learning when you look after a being, and then you go through all the different episodes, you learn a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I can identify with that as well, because I also have a cat, and just one look, I know whether she's hungry, want to play, and or so there's this little connection that, even though beyond words, there's such a deep level of connection that that two living beings are communicating, and you don't need to understand the other language. You can understand the language of love, the language of connection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I said that is very beautiful, because with human, sometimes it requires a lot of effort. You need
Mm.
two person to put in the effort. So it is still not easy to actually capture that I sit here, you sit there, we know each other, what we are thinking.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And so, what are you learning about yourself in this whole process?
I learn about myself. I think
Mm.
what I learn about myself is I I am somebody who treasure a lot of, making an effort to make yourself a better human being, through different way of doing things. I I I learned that I'm very patient with complicated things. I can be very patient with very complicated things. So I see that even in when I teach, human about certain concept, I can repeat that 10 times. I don't mind with different example, because I believe that only when a person don't have the heart to learn. If not, if I were to repeat 20 times, you sure get it.
Mm.
Yeah. So I see myself, maybe I'm quite patient, so I can take the nonsense of a four-legged. They give you a lot of nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what you mentioned there is that even though things are complicated, but you can be very patient. Like this situation about deciding whether to adopt or not to adopt may seem very complicated because a lot of dilemma that you're trying to weigh again. But you can be very patient to think about, hey, what is it that really matters to you?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting to talk to you about this dog language. I never thought that this topic can be bring for coaching, but I just thought that yeah, let's explore and see where it takes.
Yeah, I think that's like what we do always in every conversation, like just trusting the process. We do not know, where it will lead us, like how you felt as well in the initial years with the dog. You never know how it will go, but it was at the end of that 15 years that you realize, hey, you know what? It was such precious time, and like what you mentioned as well, going the flow. And so even though the last 3 years you had, you know, kind of retired from the job, and left the job, but that also give you time to bond with your dog, and that kind of refresh and rejuvenate that connection that you have with the dog, and how it brings routine to your life as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so as we kind of like relate all this amazing insights and learnings that we have, what would you say would be your next step forward?
Uh, the next step forwards is I'll be waiting for the fosterer. Right now the puppy is being fostered by a fosterer,
Mm,
somebody. She will update me with the condition of the doggy, because the doggy requires some medication, because
mhm,
it's an abandoned dog. They send him for vets, and then he just need a few 2 weeks of antibiotics to clear some of those ticks and fleas. uh so after that, it should be, she will let me know when the dog is ready to be so-called sent to me to try for 1 week. So that's
mm,
what they call fostering. So
mm.
actually adoption got so many procedure, which I think is good, because it's meant to protect the doggy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And at the end of at the end of the 1 week, if all things go well, go the way it should, what would you expect your next step?
Oh, then he will live with me for his
Okay,
next 10-15 years. Don't
10
know
years.
when is his lifespan.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he will be
yeah.
a new member in my house.
Mm, okay. And what would you say if things were to come your way? Like for example, if you want to take a solo trip, how would you kind of manage that with a new dog?
Actually, there are many pet sitter.
Mm.
Pet sitter is easier to find than babysitter. Yeah, because you can send the doggy to a boarder, or somebody who bought the dog
Mm,
for 5 day, 10 day, and then at the end of 10 day, the pet come back to you. And the best thing is that 10 day, the dog get to interact with other dogs, so they
mm.
also get to socialize, so they are not lonely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so it sounds like there's a way, even if you need to take a solo trip, you don't have to worry too much. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah. So surprisingly, got more dog border than the cat border.
getting oh, okay.
I don't know about a boarding house for cats. Maybe they have, but dog more.
Dog may be easier lah. Cat a bit harder to to
Uh,
acclimatize to new places.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And would there be any like potential barriers that you feel that might come your way as you make this decision?
Potential barriers.
Mm,
No, if there is any barrier, is my health go haywire.
mm,
But so far, so good.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there is any potential barriers, unless there is some instantaneous situation happen. If not, it should be okay.
Mm, okay. Do you need any additional resources to support you in in this process?
No, so far so good.
Sounds good. Great. So as we look back and circle back to where we started off today, I think we kind of explored a little bit about how you wanted to explore about the sense of clarity, about adoption, and then the feeling of dilemma. And as we are coming towards the end of today's conversation, I kind of felt that the word dilemma, it's not no it's not really dilemma anymore, right? Rather there is something beautiful is coming out from there. And I also think about the word unconditional devotion that's just coming up, how that is such a powerful word that you mentioned uh, throughout the whole conversation as well. And as you mentioned that, I could sense the very deep conviction within your heart as well, how that actually created a little shift for you of why, even though all the inconvenience you may come with, but beyond that, it really brings a lot of learnings and teachings for you, and really creating your life and resetting your life routine again. So that's a really beautiful um, sharing.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. The conviction is actually quite strong. It's like just flow lah. Don't think so much lah. Calm down.
I
Hello,
don't think
hello,
so much.
hello. Yeah. Then you never know. Wing of eyes. Yeah, 10 years already.
Mm, mm. Yeah, and so where do you feel right now in terms of your clarity?
I think I'm almost there.
Mm,
Yeah, I think I will just go with with plan. Wait for the person to update me.
mm,
And then once I'm ready, I will take in the dog, because I find that my action is actually wanting to adopt the dog already, because
yeah,
I find myself buying the dog's bed. I find myself buying things for the dog already
yeah.
when he's not even in my house. So
Mm,
yeah, it just wanted to talk about this topic, also to hear myself out.
mm, mm. Yeah, and I can really sense that, because as you were sharing that, I could hear Joanne that is like, hey, I really make the decision. I really know what I want. All right. It's just I guess that 6 to the 9 was really okay. Let's just do it. Let's just step out. And I think that what really connected was when you mentioned, just do it. Don't think too much about it. Just do it. And that kind of like resetted your state, and to have the conviction, to just, hey, you know what, beyond all this, really, it's to have the unconditional devotion, and to have a reset in your routine.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So thanks so much for listening me to talk about my dog.
No, it's an important topic to you, because that brings you that joy and renewed freshness again. I know, because I noticed how at the start of this conversation there were moments that I know that when you recount of your passing of your dog, your previous dog, how it was, there was some level of emotion for you. This connection emotion, right? But now, as you kind of look forward to the next phase, or your next journey with a new puppy as well, there's also uh, uh, a little hesitation, or a little anticipation of what that might look like, what the next 10, 15 years might look like, right? But one of the great things, or one of the beautiful things that came out from here, was how, as you think about all the different years, the lost years, the 8 years that you spend more time, or 15 years, those learnings that your previous dog gave you, I think that's what will make a difference in this new relationship with your new puppy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward with excitement.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Right. So, if as we're kind of wrapping up, what are some of the learnings that you've gained from today?
I think I am a very rational person. So whenever I'm making a decision, I will think of all the pros and cons. But
Mm,
uh, when I'm thinking of the challenge, I will also think about what is the challenge that's happening that I can't solve.
mm,
Yeah, so I'm answering to myself, right?
mm,
If I want to go away and then nobody look after, then what happened? Then what happened? But then at the end uh of of that thought, there's always a solution to handle the challenge. So I don't see why I can't do it. So yeah, so I learned that my rational thinking is quite useful
Mm.
because it helps me to make balanced decision. So as
Yeah,
I'm hearing myself, I find myself, I actually have reasoned out already.
yeah, yeah. And to make your life more colorful rather than very bland.
Yeah, every time
Yeah.
I'm looking at the laptop.
That's good. Right. So good. So, is there anything else that you would like to explore today?
No, that's all. I think
That's all.
that's really a good topic to discuss. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. No problem. I look forward to seeing you in our next session, and I look forward to hearing back from you as well in our next call. How, the fostering has been and your journey with this new pup.
I'll take a photo and show you.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to that. Okay. So thank you, Joanne.
Thank
I'll
you.
catch you really soon.